Hello viewers and welcome to Worlds of Magic. I'm your host PPG2 and welcome to a new Let's Play series. So today we're playing a 4X turn-based strategy game. This is a fantasy title, as you might imagine with the name Worlds of Magic. And overall this is said to be a, rather, let me back up here. This is a game that's going to be hitting Steam's Early Access program on September 11th, 2014. And it is said to be, rather, the developers have said they're trying to make a spiritual successor to the Master of Magic game, which was released way back in 1995. Though nevertheless, Master of Magic was a very say innovative game at the time. There, it was a game that actually directly influenced the Age of Wonders games, which was a title that we had checked out not too long ago, and its legacy, I mean, still continues today. I mean, you have games like Warlock Master Arcane, which takes elements from that, and I think you'll see that here shortly. And to summarize, what this game is all about, we'll have to click start a new game here, and we'll set up our game to just really go with that. So, as you see up here, there are a lot of different tabs that we can tab through here and set up. So, how this will work is that this is a 4X game that has, of course, the traditional, 4X elements. Think of something like Civilization. But in addition to that, it also has these, say, little, tactical battles, much alike with Age of Wonders and all that. And to add on top of that, it brings into play different magic spells and things that you can use on the campaign map, but also in the tactical battles. And to mix that up even further, the game doesn't only play on one, say 2D map of sorts. You actually get multiple one of these where they're sort of chained up to this gateway network. Fans of the Warlock Master of the Arcane series will know what I'm talking about there. It's quite neat to see it in practice, but essentially you have different realms which have their own different pluses and minuses to the different factions or races inside the game. And overall, it's all of these gameplay elements just pretty much just combine into this into just a very engrossing, say, world building and adventure / exploration type of strategy game that you just don't typically see in many places. So what we're gonna do right now is that I know this intro bit is gonna be quite lengthy, but we're gonna set up our faction, we're gonna set up our game, and then we're gonna take a look at our Sorcerer Lord, which is the person who leads our faction. He's fairly important because he has a whole bunch of these disciplines, aka perks, that we need to choose from, and also different categories of spells that we can say fill in some points with and unlock as the game goes on here. So that'll be that. I guess we'll start off with factions, and this game on its full release will have 8 different factions available. Currently inside what I believe is the release candidate for the initial Steam release, it has 4. Some of these, rather most of these factions are quite creative. They have their own distinct types of play with quite a few just odd bits in general about them. Though starting off, we have the High Men here. This is a relatively easy faction to play. These guys are actually these guys are the all-rounders inside the game. There's not too much more to be said about them apart from the little blurb here about the advantages and the disadvantages there. So I'll leave you guys with that. Most of you guys have probably read that already, but just think of them as the humans. They can't really do anything special. Moving from there, we have a few more unique races, starting off the Unhallowed. These guys are the undead. They are they're apparently fueled by negative energy and all that. I'll let you guys read the lore. But the benefits of them is that they have apparently really powerful advanced units later on inside the game. But the main thing is that they have a simplified economy. And also they have no unrest inside their towns. So you can, not that they use, gold or anything, but I mean they work really simply on the economic side of things, so you can just get them to pump out a large amount of units and all that using a very simple system. So it definitely shorts the micromanaging there. Though at the same time, they have the disadvantages of being unable to form alliances. And the other thing is that they can't have any subservient races, meaning that they can't capture other people's towns and pump out their units alliances, rather another factions, units using, say, their captured towns like that. The other thing is that they need corrupted tiles for their cities, so they're very picky inside where they can settle and where they can expand and build new settlements like that. So that's them at a glance. I played with them briefly, though most of the gameplay I have are on this faction right here, the High Men. Going there, we have the obligatory Elves faction. There's actually supposed to be two. There's supposed to be the Grey Elves here, and I guess later on there will be the Dark Elves, which will have their own unique things, of course. So these guys, they gain additional power income from population. I'll talk a little bit more about these things related to power as we go along here. The thing about them is that they have really mobile armies, though they have slow population growth and frail units. These guys are more straightforward to understand, to say the least. And lastly, this is a faction that was just added to the press preview build today. These guys are they're the Draconians. Their units are all flying. They gain additional power income from population. Again, I'll get to the power stuff later on, though they have very slow population growth. Their units their units apparently have some sort of a smaller figures thing. I'm not sure what that does exactly. And apparently they also have very high unrest in their towns. So for example, workers will, frequently refuse to work on all that, and we'll see what that does shortly. So one thing that I wanted you guys to keep in track of is this faction right here, the Draconians with their ability to fly, and also the Unhallowed here with their say need for corrupted tiles within their cities, because this plays into the world generation of the game by I'd say quite a margin. So I think what we'll do here is I will set up a tiny game, and mind you, it's not necessarily going to be a game as small as some people imagine, because we're going to be playing on 3 different maps, if you will, here. And of course, likewise, if you put the game on a very large game on one plane is going to differ largely in length from a map with, say, currently all 3 planes set up, or alternatively, once the game fully launches, with 7 different planes. And well, what do these planes do? Well, these are effectively different. I wouldn't necessarily say universes, but different areas of the game universe, which have their own specialty traits about them, and these are linked up using like a sort of a gate network is how the game describes it. So, for example, you always have to have this one keyed in, the prime material plane. This is your default, I'd say like plains, forests, and mountains, typical fantasy realm type of thing. But chaining off of that, you have some of these unique ones. These guys will have unique, I believe, world features. So for example, you have the plane of air here. Everything here will have floating islands, so that'll be really, really good for, say, the Draconians who can fly. Likewise, you have the shadow plane here, and these, as you see there in the bottom, they have also just general traits about them. For example, inside the plane of air, gold production is sky high, though not so much in production. Likewise, in the shadow plane, power is sky high, but not so much food. The shadow plane here is kind of special because it's the whole realm is corrupted, meaning that of course it is quite a nice place for the Unhallowed to start out with. And well, what I think we'll do here is I think we'll just start off with the Draconians, seeing as I haven't tried them before. I think it'll be a fun experience, and we'll just run a tiny game, play through it, see what happens, and really just go for round 2 later on during the game's development cycle, because they've mentioned inside the press notes that they'll release a not necessarily a full, or not. I believe it's the title as a major update sometime in November. Mind you, the game is again going to be released in September 11th there. So moving forwards from the faction game here, we're going to the Sorcerer Lord category here, which is the portion where you can design your own factions' perks and spells that you use here. So what I think we'll do here is that I'm just gonna build this faction to how I play out. The summary here is that there are, say, there's 12 different types of magic. You can choose to specialize in these if you'd like, or alternatively you can go for a broader perspective here. Though it's choosing, say, magic, or putting more points of magic, or different groupings of magic will cost points, and likewise choosing disciplines will also cost them, though you can get points back if you choose, say, negative disciplines, though. There. there. So, checking out the magic briefly, there are different, there's more or less just like one of them will always be the polar opposite of another one. There's 6 primary forces, or elements of magic. There's life, and there's death, there's water, and there's land, or earth, there's air, and there's fire, and inside the middle here, these are some of the, these are more so generic categories of things. So, for example, you have destruction, which does with what you will there. There's biomancy, so things like healing, directly related to the circle of life here. You have augmentation related to air, apparently. That one is buffs, debuffs. You have the summoning circle, used to summon things. You have the protection circle, does what it does there, and it really just plays out into, I think, right around 400 some spells inside the game. So how I think I'll do this is that I like a mixture of healing spells. I think we'll go with 3 points in this. Likewise, I think we'll go with a few offensive spells. So I think I'll put 4 points, or actually no, let's slow that down to 3 here in, there we go, inside destruction, and I'll put down, say, 4 points in mentalism, which is the thing that I really like. It's a school of powers that will allow you to inspire your citizens to buff up, say, productivity inside your towns and all. So I find it incredibly useful, and seeing as how our guys have a low population, I believe that'll be quite handy there, and I think we'll just leave the other 2 points to choose one discipline out of the list here. I believe they'll add more disciplines into this area as time goes on, as that's granted, right? So checking out our current set of perks, I'm not going to get into these all too in depth, but they some of these are more so self-explanatory things about combat and things, but some of the more interesting points are things like these. Things like cartographer trait here, or discipline, will give you a map of your starting plane in its entirety, which is actually quite useful. Some of these ones, such as some of these ones actually really stack up into a chain together. Some of these will be locked depending on, say, how many points you have inside select types of magic. Necromancer allows you to have a 10% chance in raising troops, or killed off troops as zombies onto your side after a battle. I'm going to lock in cartographer. Going from cartographer, you actually have the option of getting planner cartographer, which will allow you to see all of the planes at the start of the game, and you can get omniscient, which will allow you to see all of them without fog of war there. It looks like cartographer only costs 1 point. As you see, some of them were grayed out. Those ones, of course, cost 2 points there. In that case, I think I'll also take Gatemaster here. Gatemaster will allow us to use the gateways in, say, a more flexible manner. So we'll lock in that, and we'll just yeah, I guess we'll just lock in those settings, and we'll begin the game and play for the first few turns. Oh, that's right. So we chose our specialities magic just now, but we didn't choose the spells we had originally wanted. So we'll tab over here and we'll choose those. The amount of spells that we can pick out here initially is directly related to our Sorcerer Lord here. So for example, we have 3 points inside Circle of Life here. We get, guess what, 3 points to spend on tier 1 spells here. If you bump up those elements to like level 10, which is I think the maximum, you eventually get, say, access to the tier 2 spells, and of course the tier 3 spells as well. So there's some overlap over here in regards to the different spells. I'm going to pick out the ones that I like. I'm going to hover over the ones briefly that I'm probably not going to select. Honestly, like, the spells that I like are kind of boring. I'm going to get heal, does what it does. I'm going to get good harvest, it's going to allow us to grow more crops, and I'm going to get bless weapon here, so that'll be that. Just tapping over these briefly. You can pause the video and check those out if you like. Go into the destruction area. I'm going to get out flame arrow. Oddly enough, as you may have noticed here, a lot of the icons are just simply this fireball icon. For whatever reason, the fireball spell doesn't seem to be actually in the game yet, so I don't really know why they well, I guess it makes sense. I mean, they're using that as a placeholder, so that's that. Either way, over here I'm gonna get frostbite, freezes and slows enemies down, flame arrows to knock them out, and bloodletting because it's a cheaper damage spell than flame arrow. And tapping over, getting you guys a look into some of the other ones just briefly. Going over here too. For mentalism, the spells are actually really cool. The ones that I want to get is mineral attunement, and again, I really want to cast these spells pretty much, rather for the vast majority of the time, for the overarching game. So mineral attunement gives us the ability to build things faster. Scouting, guess what it does? So discord, so that'll incite riots into a city. And checking out some of the other spells here, I think we'll get we'll get Berserk Frenzy over here, because the other ones, for now, I guess we'll get Tranquility instead. So we'll have one thing to incite riots and one thing to calm them down. So, I guess that'll be that. We'll start out the game and see what the game generator here gives us. So, one thing that I forgot to do here, not that it matters too much, is that you can of course change how you want these planes to look. So for example, you can make perhaps the air realm into say a what do you call it, an archipelago or something like that. So you really do have to use that flying ability, or alternatively, you can just have it as a Pangea here, which is what I've done evidently because I didn't key in anything there. So that is pretty much that. Now we're on the map. This is our starting plane, and it looks like two of the other factions inside the game have spawned here. So this is of course the stuff that's just air. You know, this is evidently Ethereum 2. So this is the portions of the map that other people would have difficulty. Oh wow, there's actually no, where the map just wraps around. Never mind. I thought there was a separate thing on the other side of the map there, but oh well, that works too. So, sorry folks if the music sounds louder than previous. I don't know why it does that. Either way, checking out our town here. It looks like we started off here at Anis. Right next to our town, it looks like there's a little stockpile of gold, which is one of the specialty resources which your cities can harvest, provided that they are within, I think, 2 tiles of each other, so we're good here. And as you see there in the bottom corner of the screen here, it gives us a slight benefit on these 3 categories of things. So yeah, it's quite neat. Jumping out into our town here, what we can do is, what we probably should do is that we should probably move our units around here. We should probably choose some research options. We don't necessarily need to do any scouting because as you see here, that is already done for us. And well, we should probably get the town to produce something soon enough. So, I put my 1 unit on the defense. What I can do now is that I should be able to jump into these towns and to check them out. There we go. And going from here, I can build different buildings or alternatively units, and we can get things set up here. So, what I think I'll do is that I'll get our Javelineers to keep on the defensive for now. So he'll just fortify and he'll just defend the town as best as he can. And well, we can check out some of the other things inside the city screen here. So your cities will always have, say, a set amount of population. They'll also have some population growth or dwindling in this there as well. And what we can do here is we can build buildings with this tab and soldiers or units with this tab here. So evidently we don't have a lot of soldiers just ready or any buildable units, so I guess we'll build buildings here. And we have 4 different types of income here. We were rather 5 of them. This one's actually locked. The hollowed, the unhollowed use this one exclusively for I believe a lot of different things. We have gold income, useful for paying upkeep. Power, which again I'll talk about later on because it's its own category of things. Food income, which is useful for, of course, sustaining your population. Production to build things, and research to research new spells. How this works is that we distribute different, say, people depending on our population to different occupations. Distance will become rebels, and what we can do here is that, for example, the first building I want to build is a granary because this reduces the time, or this should make it so that we build more people, or build, or get our population to grow faster in a shorter amount of time because it produces food just pretty much as is and stuff like that. So this is a very useful building to build, and so we'll lock it in. But as you can see here, it takes 28 days to build, which is of course way too much inside a game like this. So what you can do here is that I can reassign the 2 farmers to building, to become craftsmen, which will make building that only which will make the time to build that to 11 days. How this works is that new population amounts will always spawn as farmers, and then you can reassign them. Though the thing is that you have to produce the basic amount of food required to sustain the population, so we can't use those other 2 units of farmers to build stuff. So once that gets locked in, we can then do some research. And for research, what we can do here is, if I can find it, what you can do is that, of course, you can click on the nice center button, and that'll just guide you along through your turn. And we can choose a new research spell here. And as you may have noticed, I mean, some of these were ones from previous. But what I think I'll research right now is I'll research Disrupt Wall, which is quite a nice siege spell for us. Seeing as I think we have the other, say, spells in its place. It'll cost 190 research points. We'll do that. We'll let it do its thing, and we'll just finish that as is. One of the things that we can do to speed that up is we can use this system of powers here to help us out. So how powers works is that powers is to an extent used to generate you mana, but it's also at the same time it can be used to speed up your research. Mind you, I believe you can, if I can zoom into the village, unfortunately this is kind of difficult for whatever reason right now. If I enter it like that, there we go. You can also, of course, assign people to do research inside these towns. Yeah, for whatever reason, you're supposed to be able to right-click on the towns to enter that into this city panel, but it's just not working for me right now. Either way, you can use this stuff over here to do it. You also have points in spellcraft, which governs how much mana you can spend per turn on stuff like, say, those buff spells. So, for example, if I wanted to use one of these right now, I'd have to channel 30 mana. Of course, you know how many turns that take would be that spell 30 mana points divided by 4 there. So that finishes our first turn here, because our turn is, would you look at that, it reverts the default name, so let's type your name here's turn. And well, that just yeah, effectively speeds up the game here. Typically we do some scouting here, but in the meantime we don't really have to do too much, because that part is for the just pretty much handled for us. So we have a wide variety of different resources. The most important ones are listed up here. We have, of course, total gold. Without gold, our troops will disband. Without food, likewise, that they will do the same thing. And without mana, we can get by. But some of if we have summons or enchantments, those will be dispelled. So one of the really cool things about this game is just the sheer amount of different environments and all it has, and different things here. So I've already talked a little bit about this like gold ore thing. These are just, you know, strategic resources, where in the sense that all you had to do is just build towns near them to get them. But in addition to that, the different planes of the world will also have different interactable structures, and these things are quite neat. So for example, some of these will be more or less dungeons, such as this dragon's lair. You can invade that. You can try to get an artifact item out of it to equip your heroes with. Some of the lower, say, dungeons are like things like these dens. These are also battles. I haven't seen this one before. This thing over here seems to be just a giant tree stump, because the game isn't telling me too much about it. We have a lost tribe here. That is quite a useful building. It's kind of like the little tribal villages in Civilization. Have a great library here, and also the gate to leave this plane, the teleportation stone here, which will teleport you somewhere inside this plane. And we also have another gateway here. And what else? And there's another one over here. Mind you that I don't believe these teleportation stones have to link to each other. I haven't tested that though. And some of these, like I said, will be specific to the different planes. So for example, we have a Fountain of Youth here. That is another one that I haven't seen before. So we'll see what those do shortly. Right, so in the meantime, what I can do is I'll pull up this unit roster, get these guys, I'll locate them, hopefully I can grab them now. Yeah, for whatever reason, this town is just not, it's just not budging for me. So let me see, there we go. We'll have to use some of the secondary commands here, and because I have fast movement on, we were able to, oh no, not again, we'll be able to move a lot of different places per turn. As you can see, our guys fly, so it's quite neat. There's probably nothing going to, there might be a few things that might try to attack us here. The chances are low here. So I think what we'll do is we'll visit this lost tribe here. And I'll show you guys what's inside that. Sorry folks, I'm having some, problems with moving our troops and all that. And would you look at that, a random event fired off here. So, gremlins at work. A large tribe of tiny but extremely annoying gremlins have taken up residence in your town. Food protection, pretty much everything falls by 5%, so it's not terribly bad, but it's not great. Those random events will just pass and go as time goes on. And I'm going to see what we can find here in this town. So there we go. Found a lost tribe. These work as those ancient, where those tribes in civilization. They more or less have a chance to do something. Though I've only yet to see the population increase thing there. So what that'll do is that'll add some population. Added 1,000 there, and would you look at that? That adds another one person to my my list of people here. So I can put that into the laborers camp here, which will help us build things ever faster. So we'll get that set down. I want to show you guys one of the battles here, and afterwards I think we'll just leave off as is. Though for now, I guess we can visit this portal as well. So there, we'll try to visit. We'll see what's inside there. So there, yeah, there will be a lot of turns going here and there in this game. And oh, we seem to have approached the portal. Can we enter it though? Let's see. There we go. So we can land on this tile. We can try to enter it or interact with it, and to just really go with that. And would you look at that? The gremlins were driven away, so that's good. So now, let's see. What should we do? What should we do? That granary is about to finish. I'm gonna let that finish here. That should show up here shortly. This army over here, I think I'll get it to fortify. I think I'll just get it to wait for a bit. Now, over here inside the town, yeah, that granary is finished. It should actually show up as a building here somewhere is also the thing. So there you go. You got the factory, the faction's own specialty building done. Like that, it looks quite neat. As you can see over here, we only need one farmer inside the town to sustain the population. That granary is quite the nice thing to build inside the start of the game there. So what happens now is that the production switches to housing. As you can see now, the more producing people we have, the higher the population grows per turn. But I think what we'll do here is that let's build an armory to start things off with, and that'll allow us to recruit spell swords evidently. So I think we'll do that, and we'll let it just do its thing. Now this might be a bit risky, but I wanted to see what is inside this gateway. So what we could do is we could in theory jump in here, and evidently there's a whole bunch of different rewards here. The thing is that do I really want to risk my one unit of Javelineers here? And these guys will have their own stats here and different things going on with them. They have a large amount of hit points. They have stuff going on for them really there. We could just send them in so I can show you guys the tactical battles and continue next time. Either way, irregardless if we lose, and I think we'll just do that. So we can start off the battle. We can automate the battle if we'd like, or alternatively we can fight it if we like. I'm gonna go with fight it to show you guys the tactical battles, of course, and we'll just start it off like that. And oh no, yeah, unfortunately the game doesn't tell you how many of the enemy forces you are, of course, fighting. So it looks like they just have a mass blob of them over here. And oh, would you look at that, they have some ranged units as well. So what we can do now is that we can of course move our guys. I'm going to turn off these tutorials and of course just get our guys into the fight. And would you look at that, because it is of course the floating, or the air realm here. You got some nice floating rocks tied down for whatever reason. Right, so we can get our guys to move forwards, we can get them to brawl it out with these people, and I believe our Javelineers are ranged units. So checking out how far can they hit here. They have a range of 5, which isn't enough to hit any of these guys, so I think we'll just leave them as is. But we can cast a spell right now though. So evidently we have 21 mana points to spend here, so we can spend that on some spell. What I can do right now is, for example, I can cast either, I can actually only cast Bloodletting. So I think I'll put that on one of these bands of raiders, and what it'll do is that they will, or hopefully they'll take gradual damage, but they manage to roll a save there, which I believe cancels it out. Let's see. They are just going to continue, but firing a barrage of spells at us. So we probably will lose our Javelineer this turn. But we get to see how the combat system plays out just briefly here. One thing that I should note is that I don't believe the combat system is perfectly in place just yet, aka certain things won't fire off as they're meant to, but this is of course the development build and all. So that's that. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed the first episode here. I tried to pack as much content here as possible to show you guys. It's rather unfortunate that we didn't win this battle, but I hope you guys stay around for episode 2, where we build some units, take the offensive, and check out perhaps some of the other planes inside the game. Bye bye for now. Be sure to like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this episode so far.